I am a god, you dull creature, and I will not be bullied by that.
Yo guys, what is up? Moxsy here in our Wonderlands video, and today we're going over the most recent hotfix. By the time that I'm posting this video, this hotfix should already be live on all platforms, and it is a massive hotfix. We have so many nerfs, many buffs, new weapons being added, new character background changes, and so much more. We're going to be breaking down everything you guys need to know. I hope you guys enjoy the video. Let's get right into it. So to start this hotfix off, we have a new limited time mini event, which is called Fortunate Encounters. Dice from random encounters in the overworld will now drop more loot and moon orbs. So if you're doing random encounters in the overworld, basically like when an enemy pops out of tall grass and attacks you, if you go and do that, you're going to get more loot and more moon orbs. I will go and test this because I'm curious to how many moon orbs it is, because it might be one of the better moon orbs farms, but we'll see. Next up, the Chaos Chamber featured run is changing. The featured run will have Banshee and the King as the bosses, and featured runs have an increase to the boss's dedicated drop chance for that week in the Chaos Chamber, which is awesome. So for example, if you want to go get the Wailing Banshee weapon, going and doing the featured run, you'll have an increased chance when you kill Banshee to get it. Next up, they're increasing the chance for Chaos Chamber aspects, aka the secret bosses, and the Maker to drop their dedicated gear. For each aspect that you defeat, you're going to get an increasing chance for their dedicated item to drop from the Maker. In addition, the Maker is also getting a chance for dedicated drops. If you did not know, those secret bosses in the Maker have their own dedicated drops. You can also get them out of the bunnies in the Chaos Chamber, so like there's multiple ways. I think you can also get them as world drops, even out in the world, but they should have a higher chance of dropping their gear now. Next up, the Quad Bow and the Thunder Anima are being added to the game. These are new pieces of gear. I'm actually not sure what either of them are. I'm assuming they're weapons, but they're being added to the game as world drops. They do not have a dedicated source, so just be on the lookout for the Quad Bow and the Thunder Anima, because those are brand new items to the game. Next up, they're changing how customization looks. So basically, not like how actual customization shows up, but when you get a piece of gear that is a customization, it looks the exact same as getting a purple piece of gear. So they're changing the loot beams of the customization drops, that they're going to be a little bit more yellow. They said they're changing them to a yellow color so that you won't get confused with purple epic gear. In addition to that, they're making it so customizations sell for twice as much at vending machines. These were already things that sold pretty well to vending machines, so now they're going to be even double. So farming for cosmetics or getting a bunch of cosmetics and actually storing them and selling them might actually be a pretty good way to get money. Next up, we have a little bit of a controversial change, and I understand why they're changing this skill. I just hope that the Clawbringer gets some buffs and some love in the future, because without this skill, it's going to be hurting a lot. And this skill that they're changing is Awe. If you did not know, Awe was giving flat critical hit chance. It was the only skill and only thing in the game that was giving you flat critical hit chance, making it one of the best skills in the game. All of the other buffs in the game are multiplicative crit chances. So like, for example, the Stabomancer's 30% increased critical hit chance is 30% of your base 5%. So it only is actually like 1 or 2 percentages increase. Awe, on the other hand, was a flat 33% at 3 out of 3. They're changing it to properly scale or properly give multiplicative increases instead of additive. This is going to hurt the Clawbringer for sure. The Clawbringer was struggling a little bit, and now I'm going to be honest with you, like there probably isn't as much of a reason to spec all the way down that tree now that Awe isn't going to be as strong as it used to be. It's still a good skill. It's just not nearly as good as it was. So I know there's going to be a little bit of discussion on that, but yeah, Awe was changed to now properly scale. Next up, we've got some changes to the Magic Barrage spell. Now, the Magic Barrage is like a category of spells, same way that like Ice Spike and Sunder are categories, and they're making some major changes to the Magic Barrage category. For the most part, well, the changes are showing on screen right now, but for the most part, they're increasing the damage of all of the other barrage variants that are not concentrated. They're increasing the damage of overwhelming. They're increasing the damage of bursting. They're increasing the damage of cascading. And they're nerfing the damage of concentrated. For the most part, the other variants of Magic Barrage should be feeling better. And the actual concentrated Magic Barrage, which I showed off in the top 5 spells video yesterday, which had way more damage than any other spell in the game, is getting a damage decrease. Next up, they're adjusting the Cloudburst Arc Torrent spells, and they're adjusting it so that when you charge up this spell, the stages will get increasingly more powerful, and it will scale at 25% each stage. Now, I'm going to be honest, I'm not sure if this is a buff or a nerf or just a change to making it so that in order to deal the damage that you'd like to deal, you'll need to charge the spell fully, but at each stage, you're going to be getting 25% of the spell's damage. In addition to the Arc Torrent, they're buffing the damage of the Eruption spells. They're buffing their base damage from 20 to 24. This next change is crazy. Hydra spells, all Hydra spells are getting changed from having 1 charge to 2. So if you had a Hydra spell that you really liked that had 1 charge on it, it will now have 2. And if you have a Hydra spell that has 2 charges, it should probably have 3. They are basically doubling the amount of Hydras that we can cast, which is crazy because Hydra spells were already really strong. So you can now cast all Hydra spells will now have 2 charges of them. And Sigil spells are getting their base damage increased by 200%. I messaged Gearbox. Apparently, the Buffmeister is not being included in this, so all other spells besides the Buffmeister is getting a damage increase by 200%, which will be really nice for the Sigil spells. Next up, we're moving on to weapon balance changes, and we're starting off with a very welcome buff. All sniper rifles are getting their damage increased by 20%. Green sniper rifles, blue, purple, legendary, all of them will have 20% more damage. Next up, they're changing magic poison SMGs. They said that we found that these guns weren't appreciated as it was taking 1.5 seconds for the damage to ramp up to competitive levels. We're removing the delay and including it as a part of the base damage that the guns have. So they're removing the damage ramp up on poison SMGs, or reducing it by about 50%, and they are increasing the damage of Hyperius magic poison SMGs by 50%, Dahlia magic poison SMGs by 50%, Furior magic poison SMGs by 50%. They're reducing the Furior magic poison thrown damage by 20%, and the White Rider, which is the legendary poison SMG, the dual beams on it are not being changed, but the single beam was actually receiving a little bit too much damage, so they're nerfing the damage of the single beam by 11.8%, but it'll still be receiving that 50% damage increase of the magic poison SMG. So the White Rider SMG is definitely going to be one to look out for because it just got a big buff, as well as the other purple poison SMGs. And if you thought these changes were crazy, it's about to get a lot crazier because they are nerfing the damage of a lot of the legendary pistols. And I'm just going to read through these and then we'll talk about them. So they're nerfing the Masterwork Handbow by 30% and reducing its crit damage bonus by 50%. They're nerfing the Katumbo's damage scaling by 6.67%. They're nerfing the Queen's Cry damage scaling by 15%. They're nerfing the Pookie's Chutoy damage scaling by 28%. They're nerfing the Ruby's Spite damage scaling by 30%, and they are buffing the Automagic.exe damage scaling by 50%. They're buffing the Gluttony damage by 15%. They are increasing the Message's reload speed by 50%, and they're changing how the liquid cooling damage was calculated as it scaled up in levels. It was dealing far more damage than intended, aka the liquid cooling will now have less damage. And our last change in the hotfix is they're adjusting the backstory hero points, aka the Twists of Fate. As it stands, or prior to this hotfix, Village Idiot was basically the only good background to pick if you're trying to like min-max really, and they're adding a larger penalty to Wisdom when you pick Village Idiot and adding some extra buffs or extra stats to Raised by Elves, Failed Monk, and Rogue Alchemist, which I think are good changes because it adds a little bit more difficulty to that decision and a little bit more impact to what class or what background you pick. Note that these changes to the background should be applying to our characters that we've already made and to new characters. Alright guys, that is going to do it for this hotfix video. Before I let you guys go, I just want to share my opinions on this hotfix because there are a lot of major changes here. We've got some very warranted buffs in the increases of damage to poison SMGs. We've got some buffs to spells, like major spell buffs, huge sniper buffs, and so much more. I think all of the changes are really warranted. I cannot wait to try out the Hydras, the poison SMGs, and so much more. However, I know that the nerfs are going to get a large focus because nerfs always do. It's always more of a focus from the community, and my opinion on all of the nerfs, honestly, is I'm fine with Gearbox adjusting the balance of the game. I'm fine with them nerfing things. I'm fine with them buffing things. It's how these games work. I've been covering Borderlands games for almost 3 years now, and Gearbox likes to do these hotfixes that shift metas. However, I would have loved for them to wait for a patch to get the game in a better state, to fix the UI, maybe cap enchant rolls, improvements to self-dots and spicy water in the chaos chambers, improvements to split screen and multiplayer performance before we start nerfing weapons that players are actively using. That is my opinion on it. I'm fine with them adjusting the balance. I just wish that we got those big patch changes to fix the game a little bit more before we start nerfing things. I do really like the buffs, but that's just kind of my 2 cents on it. I'm curious to what you guys think. I will be testing all of these changes live on my Twitch channel, twitch.tv/Moxsy, and seeing what the new best spells are, the new best sniper, the new best SMG. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I will catch you on the next one, guys. Take care. Peace.